Hi, welcome to today's video. My name is Paul. So this week I'm doing some digital landscape painting. But really, again, it's one of those videos where I'm talking about art stuff, and the video is just something to watch in the background if you're interested. I wanted this week to talk about or to share some ideas that might be useful to people getting into art, or maybe thinking about changing the medium that they're using, the style that they may, the style of their art, those sort of things. And it is just sharing ideas. None of this is, I'm not putting this forward as, some sort of gospel or the way to make art or anything like that. It's just sharing ideas. So a few points, maybe 4 different points. Number 1 is style. So let's say you're getting into art for the first time, or you've decided to try a different medium, change direction. That's all great, but where do you go? Once you've picked the medium that you're going to use, where do you go from there? The subject matter is a good thing. So, okay, let's say we're doing landscapes. So we have a medium and we're going to do landscapes. The next big thing is maybe then style. So there are lots of different styles of making landscapes, everything from sort of hyper-realism through to somewhat abstract landscapes, and everything in between. Imagine a piece of paper. A piece of paper is not a map. And if you're starting out in art, or you're trying a different medium, and you don't know what style you want to paint in, basically the map that you have is just a blank piece of paper. It's not going to be much use to you, and it's difficult to make any progress. So what do? Well, you mark a starting point. You put a big X on the piece of paper. That's where you're starting from. And you put another mark somewhere over on the left or whatever, and that's your destination. So at least now you know what direction you're going to travel in. It's the same in art. If you decide I'm going to paint in an impressionist style or cubist style or photorealist style, whatever style you want to paint in, at least now you have some concept of where you're trying to head towards, where you're trying to go to. So you have a sort of a map, a basic map, and at least you have some sort of feeling of making some progress. You're heading in the direction that you want to head in. It can be difficult to decide what sort of style you want to paint in. I said there are so many different ones. One tool that I've used in the past that helps a little bit is Pinterest. So Pinterest, I don't know if people have tried it. I'm not exactly sure what Pinterest is or what it's supposed to be. It kind of started out as, I think, social media. And it has some of the trappings of social media. So you can have followers, you can follow people, you can like things. But it's not really social media. It's not like Facebook or Twitter or even YouTube or anything like that. It's more of a visual search engine, a bit like Google, but just for images. But one of the things you can do on Pinterest is create these boards, and then you can pin images to the boards. So you just have a collection then of images, and that can be useful because you can put down lots and lots of images, decide which sort of ones you like, get rid of the ones you don't like, keep the ones you do, and start to get a sense of the style of art that you want to create. In my case with these digital landscapes, one of the things that I was trying to create was the idea of pop art, and that sort of bright, flat, almost cartoon-like colors, sort of Roy Lichtenstein style of art. But there was other things as well. There was an Irish artist called Paul Henry, and I liked his landscapes, or at least some of them, and I borrow a lot of his ideas. Borrow, or in brackets, steal a lot of his ideas. I've included a link to my Pinterest if anybody's interested, and you can go. It's a specific board that I've created the link for, and you can see some of the paintings and the different styles that kind of influenced the direction that I'm going in or trying to go in with this digital art. Another thing then, kind of linked to style but not exactly, is the color scheme. So like I say, I was going for bright colors, a bit like pop art. So I'm not using necessarily realistic colors or representational colors. I'm using color as a sort of aesthetic thing. It's still a work in progress, but again, as I say, it's getting in the direction that I want to go in. Another thing, third thing that I think is useful is having realistic expectations. We all want to create great art, and we want to create it today, tomorrow, yesterday, but in reality it's going to take quite a bit of time to get to where we want to go to. So being patient with yourself is a really useful thing to do, and just remember, it does take time. I know on YouTube you get a lot of these people and they make it seem like, it's so easy or whatever. What we don't know is how many times they practiced before they got to where they can create beautiful artwork effortlessly. One more piece of advice, maybe number 4, is, okay, so in the early stages, the artwork that we make probably isn't going to be fantastic. It's going to have a lot of problems, and that can be a bit overwhelming. So you have all of these problems. Where do you even start? You got to pick one problem. You got to do it in baby steps. So one thing at a time. Maybe it's the color scheme. Maybe you don't like the color scheme that you're using. You can change that. You can try and experiment with different things. Maybe it's the style. Maybe you have to try a different style. Try and isolate specific things and work on fixing those so that you're making a bit of progress. You're getting closer, step by step, little baby steps towards where you want to go to. For example, on screen you can see 2 images. The one on the left, I didn't like that sort of road or trackway that's leading towards the cottages, so I got rid of it and changed it to a sort of tumble down stone wall, which I found more interesting. I changed the sky a bit, I changed the landscape a bit. It's getting more in the direction that I want to go in. So be patient, try and fix one thing at a time. Be realistic. Don't expect too much too quickly. It can take months, weeks, it can take years to really master a specific medium or style. Your color scheme, when you're using actual paint that you can mix, be careful of mixing too many colors. You don't want it to turn into mud. You want to keep vibrant colors usually. And then, like I say, that the whole idea of choosing a style and getting an initial direction. And Pinterest might be useful. I'm not saying it will be for everybody, but for some people it might be useful. If you haven't tried it before, at least try it and see what it's like. Okay, so those are the 4 sort of bits of advice that I would give. I don't know how useful they are, but they've sort of helped me trying to cope with this digital art and trying to make some progress with it. And other media that I've used in the past, like watercolor, soft pastels, charcoal. One final thing I would say is, with the medium, if you choose a specific medium, digital art or charcoal or whatever it is, try to stick with that medium for at least a few months, maybe even a year, before you try something different. It takes a while to get used to each medium, and if you're sort of constantly switching between media, it can slow down your progress. So I think it's sometimes better to stick with a particular medium, unless you discover that you really don't like it, in which case maybe just give up on that one and try something different. And giving up on something and trying something different, it's not failure. Don't try and think of it as I failed in that. It's not really what it is. It's just making art. Learning to make art is a non-linear process. It's not a simple A, B, C, D sort of thing. You jump about all over the place. You get all these false starts and trying things different and having to go backwards sometimes. That's all part of the learning process with art. At least this is what I've found for myself. Okay, if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching, listening, and hopefully see you again in next week's video.